Thanks for tuning in to Bite Size Book Reviews. So I've just finished reading The Lost Story by Meg Shaffer. About 15 years before this story begins, there were these two boys who got lost in the woods, Jeremy and his best friend Rafe. They were gone for a whole 6 months before mysteriously turning up again after everyone had pretty much given up hope that they would ever be found. But there are a number of strange circumstances around both their disappearance and reappearance. Like, you would expect them to come back malnourished, like you expect them to be in bad shape, like whether they were kidnapped or they were just lost in the woods for 6 months, but they actually came back even healthier than they were when they left, with the exception of Rafe, who has a number of scars that no one can adequately explain. And while it seems as though Rafe doesn't remember anything at all from the time when they were missing, Jeremy seems like he might remember but refuses to tell anyone anything or to talk about any part of their experience. So 15 years later, Jeremy is famous. Like, he has this pretty much a supernatural ability to find lost women and girls, and actually to find lost things in general, although he specializes in, finding girls who have been kidnapped, gone missing, had some kind of accident, and he does this kind of stuff all around the world. In contrast, his friend Rafe, who he hasn't really spoken to at all in the last 15 years, is a bit of a recluse. Like, he looks after this sort of hunting preserve, like lives in this house that he shared with his father until his father passed away. And he also does a lot of really fantastical artwork, although he doesn't actually share it with anyone. Like, he did at one point want to pursue being an artist, but it's a dream that he's kind of given up on, or doesn't really have any confidence that he can actually pursue. So the story really begins when a vet technician called Emily comes looking for Jeremy because she wants him to help her locate her sister. Like, she always knew that she was adopted, but until her mother passed away, she never looked into her own history. She was really shocked when she did look into it to discover that she actually has a sister. The sister went missing in the same woods that the boys went missing in many years ago and was never found. So she wants Jeremy to help her locate her sister, whether she's dead or alive, because she's hoping it gives her some kind of closure. And it also seems a bit like she's, looking for something like family and stuff, like after losing that really important relationship she had with her mom. And this leads all three of these people back into the story of what happened during those 6 months. And this is a story with magical elements, with like other worlds and so on. I think the back cover couched it as a bit of a fairy tale for grown-ups, and it does actually manage to capture that feeling quite well. It's told like with alternating points of view, where you get sections on the different characters, and then also interwoven through it sections from a narrator who is telling the fairy tale. So something I liked. I think this was like, it had a lot of kind of touching moments. Like, I think about it, like the romance line did tend to be more heavily weighted in this story than I was expecting for a story that wasn't labeled as a romance in a genre, but I think it's more of a love story than it is a romance. And what I mean by that is that there's quite a bit of focus on the different things that people do for the people they care about, whether it's family or friends or couples. Like, there was this scene where, because when Rafe was little and his dad like tore up his drawings, and his mom pieced it back together for him because she knew it was something that was important to him, even though both of them are like really scared of his dad. Like, there's these moments that demonstrate how much some of these characters care for one another, and I think those were touching, and does a good job of exploring, I guess, these feelings of affection between different people. Something I did not like as much, I mean, it's not really a dislike, but since this was a story about that lost story, like them returning to and kind of relearning the stuff that happened in the past, it felt a little bit like the bulk of the story had already taken place before you got to this book. Like, it's not that you don't learn a lot about like the events that transpired back then, but you're learning about it in retrospect, like people looking back and remembering rather than things that happened in the moment. It's like the characters have already become, I guess, the people that they were going to become rather than following them as they changed. And I think, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just the way the story was built, and I haven't really decided how I feel about it, except that I think it does make me, like, it leaves me feeling a little bit like I missed something.